Welcome to another episode of The Man Space by Dr. Kaz, and I get to be the co-host, Marquise Martin Hayes. It's my pleasure to join you. We've created this space so that men have the opportunity to talk about subject matter that they don't always get to talk about, to create space, to create possibilities around it. Dr. Kaz, would you like to say hello?
Thank you, Marquese. Hello, everybody. Community of the Man Space. Honored and happy to be here.
Awesome. So tonight, in this particular episode, we want to talk about long-term care or life after work and what that looks like. I know that Dr. Kaz, she's going to share from her world some of those experiences, being my big sister and coaching me through some things. But as an entrepreneur, these are one of those things that is constantly in my space as I get older. Every time a birthday or a new year comes around, I'm trying to sort through what it looks like while I'm building. For entrepreneurs, Dr. Kaz, as you know, it has its ups and downs. And so we're constantly, as an entrepreneur, looking to either build that foundation that'll be consistent, or we're looking for a payout day, both of which take significant work. But we know inevitably age is creeping in, and it's continuing to come. And long-term care is something that we're going to have. On the flip side, those of us that work a W-2 are in many ways not certain that we're going to have long-term care because some of our pensions will be paid, some are not. We live in a sort of volatile state in society right now where those things are not guaranteed. And then COBRA payments after we retire, depending on where you work. Trying to balance those things out would definitely going to present some challenges. So one of the things I want to ask you as a financial professional and some other professions through life experiences that you had is how do we start to make adjustments for that? The one thing I will say is you can do like me and really work hard on your health, but again, there are no guarantees. So if you could share some insight on things we need to consider or small ways that we can start preparing for that. Fortunately, we got to work together. You sat me down. I've got some plans and I'm excited about those plans. I actually talk about those plans to the people in my life. But if you could share with us tonight, that would be helpful because it's a big deal and it can be scary.
Absolutely. And like everything else, Marquese, it's too late to plan as we are entering the phase of the dilemma itself, right? That's the first thing to remember. So, in the financial and risk management world, we say our plan to fail
That's right.
in all aspects of life. And a lot of times people focus on either I have a 401k, I have my investments, I'm playing with crypto, I have money, or I have pension. They are looking at cost of living. $1 million is nice chunk of money to live happily ever after, provided you don't get sick.
That's right.
But long-term health care and long-term residential care, you need a minimum of 2 million. People don't realize that. Okay. So per day to live in a facility, that is the minimum. Medicare is not going to cover it. You're looking at anywhere between $8,000 to $15,000 a month, depending on your illness and the type of care you need.
Wow.
And if you try to buy it on the other side of 35 or 40, the older you are, the more expensive it gets. So I actually do what you call how money works training and then help families plan for this over the long haul. Imagine if every parent, the couple, puts 5,000 aside before they have the first baby and the baby is 6 months. There are financial instruments you can get that is not just straight life policy, but tied to life and long-term care, that is tied to the market, that appreciates with the market, but doesn't have a floor so that you lose your principal. And by the time the kid becomes 20, 21, you can have enough money for the kid to borrow against to go to college, borrow against to get the down payment for the house, and keep the principal
Yeah.
for long-term care because it's only going to continue to grow. Think
Continue.
about it. What if every parent, every couple, before they decided to have a child, save 5,000? Then you know you're ready, go have a baby,
Yeah.
right? And then put this aside for the baby.
Yeah.
Then plan and make another 5,000 before you have the next baby.
Mm-hmm.
So you're tying your family planning to
Mm-hmm.
your financial resiliency planning and the long-term care planning. And a lot of times I hear people say, you know what? I have three kids, one of them will take care of me. How do you know the kids are not going to be born with health issues where you have to care for them for the rest of their life? And all your life savings are going to go to care for them.
That's what happened in our family.
Living in, yeah, we live in a society where education and healthcare are not taxpayer funded like most parts of the world.
Right.
So we have to fund it.
Mm-hmm.
But what if we were proactive and we are prudent and
Mm-hmm.
we plan for all of this through a singular process? And then we also need to understand this planning needs to take into consideration home health or institutionalized health,
Mm-hmm.
in country or out of country with portability.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You never know. Like,
No.
think of me. I am an immigrant, right? Right now, green card holders can't re enter the country if they were already out, right? They're talking about naturalized citizens losing citizenship. You lose everything because public policy changed. But what if you got everything in place so that regardless of where in the world you are, this is going to follow you and take care of you? Because
Mm-hmm.
you're risk mitigating for everything. And most people think, oh, that's not going to happen to me. There's a snowball's chance in hell for that to happen. But in risk management, we ask two questions. How probable is it to happen? And if it happens, how catastrophic it's going to be. It's
Mm-hmm.
the second question that matters more than the first one. So if it is going to be catastrophic, then let's hedge for it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's easier to hedge when you're young. The
Mm-hmm.
best gift I believe parents can give their kids is to put 5 to 10 grand in their name before they are 2, 3 years old. And you don't have to add anything else, just let it work. Same way, if you as a couple, people spend so much money for a wedding. Okay, time out. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to buy an expensive gown to show off to everybody that you're richer than everybody. You
Yeah.
really don't need to have a man spend 6 months of salary to buy the ring. These are truly inane benchmarks I am seeing. What if you do the important part of marriage is the spiritual commitment and the vows you take to each other and
Mm-hmm.
having the people you love who are going to support you in that journey to be
Mm-hmm.
present. What if you take all the other money and put it in one of these instruments? Now
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to run into situations where you're going to run into financial trouble and then you're divorced.
Yeah.
Don't understand it either. If you both can't afford to live together and under one roof, cook one meal, why do you think you're going to be okay with two houses and two meals for every meal?
Yeah.
You're too broke to get a divorce. Go back and make money. When you have too much, then fight over it, right? This is what I tend to tell my friends and my clients. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you're too broke to divorce. You're too broke to have this crisis. Why don't we build you back up? And most of the time in that process, they figure out they can work together and they don't need the divorce.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good, Dr. Kaz. It's as you're bringing insight to like we were in a previous conversation we had about really looking for partnership and the business side of why choosing a partner along with those steps. It's intriguing. I'm not a grandfather yet, and no time soon that I'm aware of. But one of the gifts I want to give is the 5 or 10,000 for each grandchild and a vehicle that you just described. I'm like, oh yeah, it makes sense. We need to do that. So thank you for that. It
I
sounds
will be happy to take care of it because it's in the family.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And yeah, it actually makes me think about my children now. Some of the things I still can do for them, although it won't be the same because of compounding, it's still in the direction that they need it to be.
Mhm.
So this is good.
Yeah. And every young person, when they get into a job, they think my employer is giving me long-term care. They're giving me life insurance. No, they're giving it to you while you're in the company. And the
Right.
minute you're no longer there, it's
Right.
not portable, nothing transfers. You have to start from fresh and you're going to be older and you're going to be more expensive.
All right, Dr. Cass. So I'm older. It's more expensive. There are others of me. Instead of saying it's too late, so screw it, what do you recommend the late bloomers to do? Or maybe they just got displaced. Now they need a new job and got to rebuild. What do you recommend when it's late in the game for those of us to do?
So, regardless of what age we start, we always have to pay ourselves first. I would recommend 15 to 20% of your salary needs to go to pay yourself. Paying yourself doesn't mean for you to go buy a car, for you to go take a cruise, for you to have mad money to do whatever crazy thing you want to do, right? It's putting aside from an investment perspective. And these vehicles, we can set it up for you in a way that you put a lump sum to start with whatever you have, and then a fixed amount you put in every month. And
Mhm.
remember, once you have put that money aside for a certain number of years, you've built cash value, you can borrow from it. Rich
Mhm.
people don't use their money.
Really?
Yeah, they don't. So they put their money in these instruments, they put their money in corporate stocks, and then
Mhm.
go and borrow against those.
Mhm.
And now, because they are borrowing, they have tax deductions.
Mhm. Exactly.
And then they put everything in a trust. It's held in trust to educate their children. They borrow against it.
Mhm.
Everything is borrowing.
Yeah. We're having that discussion now among some of the tools that we have available in our family from an asset perspective so that they can borrow against it. And some of those tools like art, for example, where
Mhm,
you can impact its value through purchases, creating tools and things to borrow against. So okay,
mhm.
that's
And the
one of
other
them.
thing we
What
can
else?
do is, as much as possible, give gifts that are assets that appreciate in value. Like, I come from a culture where coworkers give each other gold. The way I started at Standard Chartered Bank in Sri Lanka, anybody getting married, they send a register around, everybody signs up. How much of my payroll I want deducted to buy something. And all the money is used to buy gold and gems for the newly married couple as an investment. When I left Sri Lanka, I got a four-leaf clover diamonds and gold pendant and a matching ring from my team.
That's so cool.
So when push comes to shove, you have something of value you can use as collateral to borrow. So instead of going out and partying and going out and spending, 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 we're flushing it out. What if we are mindful? The same way, be mindful about the wedding, be mindful about parties, be mindful about every Friday night. If people can go out and spend $15 per martini and have five martinis on a weekend, what if you do only two and save the rest?
Hmm. Hmm.
The other thing we can teach our children, and men can do this. My family, we did this as grown adults, right? We each have a piggy bank. End of every day, all the coins in the piggy bank goes in, and we have a competition. Whoever who has the most amount of money wins, and the loser has to buy the other person ice cream at the end of the month. And we both take our piggy banks to the bank and count, and we both had separate accounts to put our piggy bank money.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
You'd be
cool.
surprised, it's always over $150
Wow.
every month.
That is cool.
Just change.
Yeah, you were talking about how in your culture, giving assets. It's something that I started years ago, but they were just books, Dr. Cass. They were books because I wanted to give them mental assets to expand. And I learned that from my father. But well, I don't know exactly when he started, but about 13 years ago, that's about right. 10, 13 years ago, he started giving my children silver coins for their major graduations and things of that nature. So grandpa would show up with a bag of silver coins. It wasn't gold, but it's silver. Yeah, he has a strong belief in silver and where it's going to go. But they have these coins so that if hard times come, they have literal assets now. And he sowed that seed. He modeled it for us. And I love that he's doing that. But I probably need to marry a Sri Lankan next. I don't know. I'm just kidding. But it's good. Like it makes sense because everything is about preparing in ways that actually matter.
Yeah,
It's good, Doc. It's good.
absolutely. And always think about quality of life in terms of how it's going to look like and feel like throughout your lifespan instead of worrying about the momentary enjoyment and how it looks for somebody else. We're so busy focused on how it looks for somebody else.
Yeah.
We're not protecting ourselves.
Yeah.
Like every time I go to work and I'm the CFO, right? Everybody wants to know what car I drive, and I just drive a Honda.
Mm.
And my staff, they drive BMWs and Mercedeses and something even more expensive. All the women carry Louis Vuitton purses.
Mhm.
Men wear designer shoes. I'm like, and then they say, why don't you spend your money on stuff like that? I said, you know, your money you're wearing, my money is sitting in the bank for me
Right.
because money that I'm is not going to serve me.
Not at all. It's one of the things that I think this is for men too. You're going to, in order to care for this long-term care, which is real, you're going to have to die an ego death now.
Yes.
Because otherwise, you may end up in a mental conflict. It's not
Mhm.
healthy.
You know the easiest way to save money for a guy? Because guys want to have the latest car. You
Mm.
lease a car, then you lease a new car. Do you realize somebody else is getting rich? What if you leased or bought a car and kept buy a car?
Yeah.
It's fully depreciated in 5 years. Pay it off. Then for the next 10 years, because men are very good at maintaining cars, they know everything about it. My idea of maintenance is
Yeah.
oh, AAA, right? Or
Yeah.
take it to the dealer. But what if you put that same payment aside and
Mhm.
invest it for yourself?
Yeah.
Now you have twice the value of your full car
Mhm.
working for you.
Mhm.
That's going to serve you in your long term care needs. And you
Mhm.
can borrow against that to buy your car. And then the other tip I would give is instead of always going to the dealer and getting what you want, go get a loan cleared from a credit union because credit union, you remember, they're not making profits off of you.
Yeah.
And then go get the car you want at the price you want negotiated and finance with them for no prepayment penalty. So they'll charge you high interest, but they'll give you a good deal on the car. And
Mhm.
because you don't have prepayment penalty, turn around and refinance it with your credit union check. So now it's sitting in the credit union, and you can use your borrowed cash value to pay the credit union, or you borrow against, pay against union and borrow it from yourself. But it allows you to ladder it
Yeah.
and truly take the benefit of it.
Yeah. That makes so much sense, Doc. Like that's a nugget, gentlemen. If you didn't capture that, just hit rewind. This is recorded. Hit rewind because that becomes a big deal. If I may, Doc, I want to add in
Yeah, please.
a funny. Another way for a man to save money is to stay single. Stay single as long as possible. While that is true, there are obviously great benefits to having a partner that supports you and is a match. But inside of everything you've been sharing, I'm just taking notes to make sure I'm aligning things. And the one thing that has happened for me over the last, I would say, 5 years is the real acceptance that everything I do moving forward, of course, I should have known that back then, but I didn't. Everything I do moving forward needs to be succession planning, period. Everything I do moving forward needs to be succession planning for my children and for my spouse to be setting those things up because that's what it is. And when I stopped fighting it, I have complete peace about it. I understand what the mission is. Live good and simple now and enjoy as much as I can while making certain they're taken care of so that when I leave or if I become a weight to them or they have to take care of me, it's also not draining them. And that is like that mental shift that I had to make and become comfortable with. And I'm good. So I
Yeah.
understand my efforts are to build for the people that I love.
Absolutely. And let's not forget long term care is not just about money. You need to have somebody who's going to care about you,
Yes.
be there for you, and
Right.
support you through it all. I am, you know, through this with my husband. It's an 8 year debilitating progressive illness. And no amount of money is going to give another human, a man, the peace of mind
Yeah.
without, and men don't want another man taking care of them that way.
We don't.
I used to always joke, I tell Mike, it's either me or a male nurse. And he says, okay, 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 you're it. Right?
There you
But
go.
imagine if you only had guy friends, you stayed single,
Yeah.
you didn't have a woman. And these are not things a daughter can do for a father either.
Mm,
Some things you don't want. I took care of my father at end of life, and it was very embarrassing for my father.
yeah, I can imagine.
So the value of the spouse, if a man has been good in a marriage with his wife, and the wife has been good in building that relationship,
Mhm.
then women normally outlive their husbands.
Yeah, that's my plan. That's
So
my
even
plan.
when they are same age, they outlive you by 4 to 6 years.
Yeah.
So having a caring, loving woman is so much more important than all the money in the world
Right.
because money can buy you care, but that care is not going to come with love and kindness and compassion.
I have an uncle going through this right now. And had it not been for my cousin to come assist him, his debilitation, who knows? Because it's not the same at all, not even close. So you're so right, Dr. Cass. I'm able to see that on one side, and then having to take care of someone else on the other side. My father had to take care of one of my siblings, right? So I may inherit that. I don't know, but he didn't plan for that. He wasn't expecting that, but yet that's the reality that was served up. So not preparing or assuming it's never going to happen is the worst thing that we can do. So thank you for the tools you've shared today that can drive us there. Any closing thoughts that you want to add on for us to walk away with before we close for today?
Thank you so much, Marcus. This has been absolutely a meaningful conversation. At old age, research shows that the most important tool for us, resource for us, community.
Yeah.
And the most important muscle, the organ we have to invest in is our thighs. Our thigh muscles are allowed to be mobile, to visit people, to dance and sing and enjoy and be in community. You look at all the green zone, blue zones, they're all communities where relationships and bonding is there. So
Mm,
as you plan for long term, don't just focus on the money
mm,
because you spend more money when you don't have community need less money. There's a reason why I moved to the Caribbean to take care of my husband because
yeah.
I have, even though we were not from there, immediately the community showed up, right? There's nobody suing you, nobody is waiting to get what you have. So community is an equally important investment. I would never ever put that behind money. I will always say build the community, build your family, your community, your relationships,
Yeah.
and then supplement that with the monetary
Mhm.
because it is a combination of those, the ebb and flow of that,
Mhm.
that gives good quality of life. Because you
Mhm.
don't want to go out. Think about Steve Jobs. He had all the money in the world, but he died the saddest man in the world. And he said if he could do it again, he would have invested in relationships. So
Yeah.
invest in relationships that
Yeah.
is beyond the long term care, it's beyond this lifetime. It is a soul bond that goes with you forever. So build on that and let that support system take you into your long term care because no amount of money is going to compensate for love and kindness and
Mhm.
grace.
Thank you, Dr. Cass. That's our show today. Come check us out the next one.